What is the biggest red flag you've had in a relationship that you'd ignored and really shouldn't have? I woke up in the middle of the night because I heard a noise in my apartment. At first, I thought it was the wind or maybe the neighbors being loud again. But then I realized something that made my whole body freeze. There was someone standing in the corner of my bedroom, not moving, not saying anything, just standing there. The only reason I could see her was because the streetlight outside was shining through the blinds. And it was her, my girlfriend, Emily. Except she wasn't supposed to be here. She lived 45 minutes away. She didn't have a key. She hadn't told me she was coming over. And the worst part? Her eyes were wide open, locked on me, like she'd been watching me sleep for a while. I whispered her name, my voice shaking. Emily? She didn't answer. Then she smiled, slow, too slow, and in the softest voice, like a lullaby, she said, "You were talking in your sleep, baby." I wanted to ask what she meant. I wanted to ask how she even got in, but my throat closed up because, out of nowhere, she reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out something shiny. A key. My key. Before I could say a word, she whispered, "We need to talk about what you said." And that's when I saw it. The knife tucked into her waistband. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, because if I had paid attention to the red flags, I would have never gotten here. We met 8 months ago on a dating app. She wasn't my usual type, but she had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the world. She texted me good morning every single day without fail, and at first, I thought it was sweet. I thought, wow, someone actually cares. Our first date was perfect, almost too perfect. She showed up in this red dress, and I swear every guy in the restaurant turned their head. But she only looked at me. She laughed at all my jokes, even the stupid ones. I remember thinking, this girl is incredible. After that, we started hanging out almost every day. It felt like a movie romance at first. She always wanted to be around me. She'd show up after work, bring food, clean my apartment without me asking. Everyone said I was lucky. But then came the first thing I should have noticed. One night, about 3 weeks in, I told her I couldn't hang out because I was tired and had an early meeting. She texted me, "That's okay, babe. Sleep well." Sweet, right? Except later that night, around 1 a.m., I got a notification on my phone. It was her, on Instagram. She had liked a picture from 3 years ago. Three years ago. Not a big deal, maybe, but then another like popped up, and another, and another. By the time I woke up the next morning, she had liked over 200 of my old photos, some when I was still with my ex. That made me pause. When I asked her about it later, she just giggled and said, "I was bored and wanted to see baby you." I laughed it off because I thought, okay, maybe she's just a little extra, but that was only the start. A few weeks later, I noticed she always had questions, like a lot of questions. "Who's that texting you? Why did you take so long to reply? Why didn't you answer my call last night at 2 a.m.? I told her, "Emily, I was asleep." And she just smiled and said, "You should keep your ringer on for me. You never know when I'll need you." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. One time, I woke up to 17 missed calls. When I asked what was wrong, she said, "Nothing. I just wanted to hear your voice." That didn't feel normal, but she was so good at making me feel guilty for questioning her. She'd say things like, "I just love you so much, I can't help it." And here's the messed up part. I liked feeling wanted. I liked the attention. So I ignored the signs. Then came the night she showed up at my job. I work in IT at a company downtown. I never told her my exact office, just the general area. One day, around lunch, I got a text from her. "Look out your window." I thought she was joking, but I walked to the window, and there she was, standing on the sidewalk, waving up at me. I asked her later how she found my office, and she just shrugged and said, "I looked you up." And when I said, "That's kind of creepy," she tilted her head and said, "Why? I just wanted to see you. Don't you like surprises?" I didn't know what to say, because a part of me did like it. It felt like something out of a movie again. But another part of me, the part that had been raised on true crime documentaries, that part was screaming. Still, I stayed, because I told myself, she's just intense. It's not a big deal. Then came last week. I had a friend's birthday party. Emily wasn't invited. It was just a small thing for the guys. I told her about it, and she said she understood. She even smiled and kissed me and said, "Have fun." Everything seemed fine, until halfway through the night, my phone buzzed. A text from Emily. "Nice blue shirt. Looks good on you." I froze, because she wasn't supposed to know what I was wearing. I texted back, "Where are you?" No answer. A few minutes later, another text. "Who's that brunette sitting next to you?" I looked around the bar like a maniac, but I didn't see her. I called. No answer. That night when I got home, there was a sticky note on my door. It said, "Next time, invite me." I should have left then. I should have blocked her, called the cops, something, but I didn't. Because the next morning, she showed up with coffee and donuts and acted like nothing happened. She was so sweet, so normal. I convinced myself I imagined everything. But now, standing in my dark bedroom with her holding my key and a knife, I know I didn't imagine a damn thing. Before I could move, she stepped closer to the bed and whispered, "Tell me again what you said in your sleep, baby. I want to hear it." And the knife caught the light. The knife glinted in the soft streetlight leaking through my blinds, and my heart was pounding so hard I was sure she could hear it. Emily's voice was calm, too calm, as she repeated, "Tell me again what you said in your sleep." I didn't know what to say. My mind scrambled for an answer that wouldn't make this worse, but every second that passed felt like the air was getting sucked out of the room. I don't remember, I stammered. Her smile stretched just a little wider, not happy, not sweet, more like something you'd see in a horror movie right before everything goes to hell. That's okay, she whispered. I remember for you. And then she set the knife down on the nightstand. Not in a threatening slam, not in a casual toss. She placed it gently, like it was something precious. That was almost scarier than if she'd kept it in her hand. Emily, my voice cracked, how did you even get in here? She reached into her pocket and dangled the key again, letting it swing back and forth like a hypnotist's watch. You shouldn't leave your spare under the doormat. That's so unsafe. Anybody could find it. Anybody. I swallowed hard. Emily, give me the key. She tilted her head, her long hair falling over her face just enough to hide her eyes. When she spoke again, her voice dropped to a whisper that chilled me to the bone. No. That was it. That was my breaking point. I'd ignored every red flag up to this moment. The obsessive texts, the surprise visits, the stalking at the bar. But this, standing in my room in the middle of the night with my key and a knife? I couldn't pretend anymore. I had to get out. But the second that thought hit my brain, something else hit me too. She was between me and the door. I tried to keep my breathing steady, tried to act calm, because every movie and true crime show I've ever watched taught me one thing: don't freak out the crazy person with the weapon. Emily, I said softly, forcing a smile, can we talk about this tomorrow? I'm really tired. Maybe we both need some sleep. Her eyes narrowed, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. You want me to leave? She asked, her voice sharp now, like broken glass. I hesitated too long. That was my mistake. You do want me to leave, she said it like a statement, not a question. Her smile was gone now, and what replaced it made my stomach twist. Before I could answer, she picked up the knife again, not fast, slow, deliberate. She said, I came here because I love you. I just wanted to keep you safe. You talk in your sleep, and you say things that hurt me. Things like her name. Her name? Whose name? My mind raced, but I couldn't think straight. Emily, I swear. Stop lying. Her voice snapped like a whip. Do you think I'm stupid? Do you think I don't know what you're doing? I raised my hand slowly, trying to keep my tone even. Emily, please, put the knife down. We can talk. And then, to my surprise, she did. She placed it back on the nightstand, her fingers lingering on the handle like she was making a point. Then she smiled again. Sweet, innocent, fake as hell. Okay, babe, let's talk. What do you even say to that? I started with the only thing I could think of. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I didn't mean to. She nodded slowly, like a teacher listening to a kid explain why they didn't do their homework. I know you didn't mean to. That's why I forgive you. But we need to fix this. We need to make sure it never happens again. My throat was so dry it hurt to swallow. Okay, how do we fix it? That smile again. By staying together forever. No more secrets, no more lies. You're mine, I'm yours, right? I nodded, because what else could I do? Right, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Good. She leaned down, kissed my forehead gently like everything was fine. Then she turned and walked out of the room humming a tune like she didn't just break into my apartment in the middle of the night. I didn't move until I heard the front door close. Then I jumped out of bed, locked the door behind her, and collapsed against it, my whole body shaking. I didn't sleep. I sat there until the sun came up, staring at the door like it might open again. The second the clock hit 7 a.m., I started packing a bag. I didn't care where I was going. I just knew I had to get out of that apartment before she came back. I threw clothes into a duffel bag, grabbed my laptop, my wallet, my phone charger. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely zip the bag. Then I froze, because my phone buzzed. It was a text from Emily. Good morning, love. Did you sleep well? My stomach turned. I didn't answer. I just kept packing. 5 minutes later, another text. What are you doing? I ignored it. Another text. Don't ignore me. And then, I'll see you soon. That was it. I grabbed my keys, slung the bag over my shoulder, and bolted for the door. I didn't even check the peephole. I just yanked the door open and almost screamed, because there was a note taped to the outside of my door. It said, running away already? I swear my knees almost gave out. I looked up and down the hallway. Nothing. No sign of her. But that didn't mean she wasn't there. My phone buzzed again. A picture this time. Of my car. In the parking lot. With the caption, I will wait. My hands went cold. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I backed away from the window, gripping my phone like it could protect me. She was outside, waiting for me. And suddenly, it hit me. She had been one step ahead the whole time. That's when I heard it. The sound of my front door unlocking. The sound of the lock turning was soft. Almost gentle. But it was enough to make my blood run cold. Click. Click. The deadbolt slid back like it had every right to. I didn't move. I couldn't. My body felt frozen. My mind screaming at me to run, but my legs didn't listen. Then the door creaked open. And there she was. Emily. Standing in my doorway like she owned the place. Like this was just another Sunday morning and not the middle of a psychological horror movie. Her hair was loose around her face, her smile bright and warm, like the knife at 2 a.m. had been a dream. Morning, babe, she said softly. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat was dry, my voice locked somewhere deep inside my chest. She stepped inside. closing the door behind her with a quiet click. You were going to leave me. Not a question, a statement. I shook my head too fast. No, don't lie. Her smile didn't fade, but her eyes were sharp now. My duffel bag was still on the floor, half-zipped, clothes spilling out like evidence. Emily's gaze drifted to it, and for a second, everything was silent except for the pounding in my ears. Then she laughed. Not loud, not crazy, just soft, sweet, like she thought this was funny. Oh, babe, she whispered, walking toward me. You think you can run away from me? I backed up until my shoulders hit the wall. Emily, please, you're scaring me. That made her stop. She tilted her head, her smile fading just a little. You're scaring me? I swallowed hard. Yes. For a moment, she didn't say anything, just stared at me like she was trying to memorize my face. Then she laughed again, louder this time. You have no idea what scary is. That was it. I bolted. Pure survival instinct took over. I shoved past her so hard she stumbled, and I sprinted for the door. I didn't even look back. I yanked the door open and ran into the hallway, my socks slipping on the floor, my heart hammering so hard I thought I'd pass out. Down the hall, past the elevator, toward the stairs. I could hear her behind me, her voice calm and sweet, echoing down the hall like something out of a nightmare. Run all you want, babe. You'll come back to me. I hit the stairwell door and flew down the steps, taking them 2 at a time, gripping the railing so hard my hands burned. 3 flights. 4. 5. I burst out into the lobby and didn't stop. The clerk at the front desk shouted something, but I didn't hear. My brain was a tunnel of panic. I slammed through the glass doors and into the parking lot, sprinting toward my car, and froze. Because every single one of my tires was slashed. All 4. Deep cuts, rubber shredded like confetti. My breath caught in my throat, my keys shook in my hand as I fumbled with the lock anyway. Like maybe I could still make it work. But then I saw it. A note on the windshield. Told you I'd wait. Heart. I heard the door to the building slam open behind me. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Emily. Her footsteps were slow. Calm. I yanked my phone out of my pocket, my fingers trembling as I unlocked it and hit 911. But before the call even connected, the phone buzzed with a notification. A text. From Emily. Don't bother. I froze. Then another text. Look behind you. My heart stopped. I turned, and there she was, standing just a few feet away, holding my spare car keys in one hand and the knife in the other. I told you. You're mine. I bolted again. I didn't think. I didn't look back. I just ran. Across the lot, down the street, my lungs burning, my chest tight, my legs screaming at me to stop, but I didn't. I ran until the apartment complex was out of sight, until my feet hit pavement I didn't recognize. Then I ducked into an alley and collapsed behind a dumpster, gasping for air, my hands shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. I checked it again. Another text. You run cute. My stomach turned. How the hell did she... I looked up. There was a camera on the corner of the building across from me, and taped to the side of the dumpster right next to my head was a small piece of paper. I pulled it off with trembling hands. You can't hide from me. That's when I heard it. The sound of heels clicking on pavement. Slow. Steady. Coming closer. The sound of her heels echoed like gunshots in the narrow alley. Click. 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 I pressed my back against the cold brick wall, my breath coming in ragged bursts. My heart was slamming so hard I thought it might punch through my ribs. The alley was long and dark, a dead end except for a rusty fire escape that looked like it hadn't been touched since the 80s. Think. Her footsteps grew louder, closer. I crouched low and slid behind the dumpster, trying to make myself as small as possible. My phone was still in my hand, the glow from the screen making me feel like a neon sign. I killed it fast and held my breath. The footsteps stopped. Silence. And then... Baby? Her voice was soft, sweet, like honey poured over poison. I know you're scared, but you don't have to be. Just come out. We'll go home. We'll laugh about this someday. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself not to move, not to make a sound. Then something hit the dumpster, hard, bang. I bit down on a gasp. Don't make me chase you, she whispered, because you know what happens when I have to chase you. My hands shook so bad I almost dropped my phone. Then another noise, a soft scrape. I risked a glance under the dumpster, her boots, just standing there, motionless. Then she crouched. Her face appeared under the gap, upside down, smiling. There you are. I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I just exploded out from behind the dumpster and ran for the fire escape like my life depended on it, because it did. The metal ladder was rusted, stiff, but adrenaline gave me strength I didn't know I had. I scrambled up, ignoring the way the metal bit into my hands, ignoring the sting of sweat in my eyes. Below me, Emily laughed. You're making this fun. Her voice floated up after me, light and almost playful. I hauled myself onto the first landing and bolted for the next ladder. Halfway up, I looked down. She was climbing. Fast. Too fast. And the knife? She still had the knife. The building was 5 stories. By the time I reached the top, my arms were jelly and my lungs were fire, but I didn't stop. I clambered over the edge and rolled onto the roof, my chest heaving. The city stretched out around me, neon lights and shadows, but I didn't have time to take it in. Emily was coming. I ran across the roof looking for another way down, fire escapes, ladders, anything. There, another escape, on the far side. I sprinted toward it, every step pounding like a drumbeat of survival. Behind me, I heard her pull herself onto the roof. "Don't fall," she sang. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I reached the edge, grabbed the railing, and swung my leg over, then froze. The ladder was gone. Just an empty drop to the pavement below. I spun around. Emily stood across the roof, the city lights behind her making her look like a silhouette carved from shadow. And she was smiling. "You really thought you could outsmart me," she said softly. My mouth went dry. "What do you want from me?" She tilted her head, her hair falling like a curtain around her face. "What I've always wanted." And she reached into her jacket. For a second, I thought she was going to pull out another knife, or maybe a gun, but what she pulled out instead made my stomach drop to the floor. A small black box. She held it up between 2 fingers, like it was nothing. "You forgot this," she said. I stared at it, my brain struggling to catch up. "What is that?" Her smile widened. "Open it." Every instinct screamed at me not to, but she tossed it toward me and my hands moved on their own, catching it like it was fragile. The box was light, almost too light. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single silver key, and etched in the metal, in tiny letters, was my name. What is this?" I whispered. Emily stepped closer, her boots clicking against the roof. "It's your key," she said softly. "To your room." I shook my head. "What are you talking about?" Her smile didn't reach her eyes now. "Home," she said. And then, like a whisper carried on the wind, "You're coming home with me." I dropped the box and bolted. Didn't think, didn't breathe, just ran. Across the roof, toward the edge, toward the darkness. I didn't care if there was no ladder. I didn't care if it killed me, because staying with her, that would be worse. As I leapt, I heard her laugh. Not angry, not surprised, just soft. Like she knew this was exactly what I would do. Glass shattered around me like falling stars. The world spun as my body slammed through the window and into a dark room. Pain exploded in my shoulders. I hit the floor. I rolled, coughing, shards of glass cutting into my palms and arms. My breath came in ragged gasps as I tried to pull myself up. For a moment, there was silence. Just the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then, soft laughter from the roof above. "Nice jump, baby." Her voice floated down like a lullaby, calm and sweet, like this was all a game. I pushed myself to my feet, stumbling on shaky legs. The room I'd crashed into looked abandoned. Dust coated everything. Torn curtains flapped in the breeze through the broken window. There was a door. My salvation. I ran for it. The handle turned, and the door opened before I even touched it. Standing there, silhouetted by the hallway light, was Emily. I froze. My lungs stopped working. She wasn't breathing hard. Not even a little. Her hair was perfect, her clothes untouched. It was like she hadn't been chasing me across rooftops and alleys for the last hour. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. The click of the lock sounded like a death sentence. "How?" My voice cracked. "How did you... You really thought you could run from me?" she said softly, walking toward me like a cat stalking prey. I backed away until my legs hit the bed frame. My hands curled into fists, even though I knew I didn't stand a chance. "What do you want from me?" I whispered. She tilted her head. Her smile widened. "Everything." Before I could move, she lunged. Her hands slammed into my chest, shoving me back onto the mattress. The breath whooshed out of me as I hit the mattress. She climbed on top, pinning me with a strength that didn't make sense. One hand gripped my wrist. The other slid something cold against my throat. The knife. "Please," I started. She pressed the blade harder, just enough to break skin. A bead of blood trickled down my neck. "Shh," she whispered. "You don't understand yet, but you will." My whole body shook. I could feel my pulse hammering against the knife. "You were supposed to be mine," she said, "from the moment I saw you. But then you started pulling away, trying to leave. That's not how this works." I stared into her eyes and saw something that made my blood run cold. Not anger, not obsession, devotion. Like this wasn't just about me. Like this was about something bigger. "Emily, why me?" I whispered. She smiled again. "Because you're the key." My stomach twisted. The key? The box. My name on it. "What does that mean?" I asked, my voice barely a breath. Instead of answering, she leaned down, so close, I could feel her lips near my ear. "It's time," she whispered. And then, she stabbed the knife into the mattress beside my head, so deep that the blade quivered. Before I could even process what was happening, she reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. Her thumb moved fast, tapping something. Seconds later, the sound hit me. Footsteps. Not just one pair. Dozens. Coming down the hall. The door burst open, and they filed in. Men, women, all wearing the same black clothes. Their faces blank. They surrounded the bed, staring down at me like I was a piece of meat thrown to wolves. Emily climbed off me and stood at the foot of the bed, her eyes shining in the dim light. "Welcome home," she said softly. I scrambled backward, my spine pressing against the headboard. What the hell is this? One of the men stepped forward, holding something. A collar. Steel. Heavy. And engraved. With my name. No! I tried to get up, but two others grabbed me, their hands like iron. Emily walked closer, taking the collar from the man. She held it up so I could see every detail. The shine of the metal, the tiny lock, the chain dangling from it. You ignored the signs. You thought you could leave, but you were chosen. Do you understand now? I shook my head, tears burning in my eyes. Chosen for what? Her smile grew wider than I thought possible. Forever. And then, the collar closed around my neck with a click. Everything after that was a blur. Hands grabbing me, dragging me, the sound of chains rattling, my own screams echoing in the dark. Emily walking ahead, her figure silhouetted by the glow of a single light at the end of the hall. And then, a door. Massive. Steel. Covered in strange symbols I didn't understand. It swung open with a hiss. Inside was a room glowing red. And beyond that, something moved. Something huge. Something alive. Emily turned back to me one last time, her face radiant with something close to joy. "It's time to meet him," she said softly. And then, darkness swallowed everything.